As Guardians, there's nothing that we love more than to just kill absolutely everything around us in the most murderous and massacre-like ways possible. As professional undead mass murderers, we need the right weapons, we need the right tools to do our job. And sometimes you just can feel like the weapons that you have doesn't quite cut it. You don't feel like you're murdering enough people at a high enough rate. And that sucks, right? No one wants that. And it's because you don't have the right exotics. Hi guys, welcome to Gaming Watcher. My name is Rolson, and in this video we'll talk about the best exotics of 2021. Not just like the best exotics, but like the best exotics, you know? Like those kinds of exotics, like it's so good. This is the best goddamn exotic I ever tasted. Like those kinds of exotics. And which exotics are the best changes from time to time? Because Bungie has a habit of changing up the sandbox, and so one exotic that sucked a year ago might all of a sudden become the very best exotic in the game. And so in this video, I'll give you a rundown of the very best exotics in 2021, in my opinion. I'll talk about 5 exotics here, and it's not going to be like a top 5. There's no priority order in the way that I go through these. They're just 5 really awesome exotics in this current sandbox. If you like the content that I put out on this channel, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because YouTube will not recommend my videos to you because I'm such a small channel. Now, I'll tell you about these 5 genocide tools. I'll tell you how they work, how you get them, and how you use them most efficiently. So let's just get into it. Now, the first tool of massive carnage that I want to talk about is the Riskrunner. This is an absolutely awesome SMG, and I'll tell you how to get it in a bit, but let's just talk about how it works and why it's so efficient at murdering enemies. So it has the intrinsic trait Arc Conductor. When taking arc damage, this weapon becomes more powerful and resists incoming arc damage. Kills extend the time in this overcharged state. Then it has the perk Superconductor. When Arc Conductor is active, so that's the intrinsic trait, when Arc Conductor is active, shots fired have the chance to become chain lightning and return ammo. So what this means is, if you take arc damage, Riskrunner will start firing chain lightning that will chain between enemies and kill everything around you. And also you get this shield around you that makes you resistant to arc damage. Every time you get a kill, you will extend this buff. So as long as you're getting kills, you can have this buff almost indefinitely. And also it will return ammo to the gun all the time. So you're doing massive damage with this chain lightning that chains out to all of the enemies in the area. You're resistant against arc damage, and also you constantly get ammo back. So it's just non-stop frenzy. This is excellent in any activity where there's a lot of arc damage, both because of the chain lightning that is just absolutely one of the best things for ad clearing in the game, but also because of the damage resistance that you get. You're almost impossible to kill with arc damage when this perk procs. The Riskrunner is an SMG and it's an energy weapon, so it takes up your energy spot, and if there are champions that you can take down with an SMG, this is a great option to choose. Now, how do you get Riskrunner? You get Riskrunner actually in the beginning of the game. When you do the intro mission, the new intro mission that was introduced with Beyond Light to the game, at the end of that you will receive the first quest step for getting the Riskrunner. You don't have to be a new player to do that intro mission. It's also available for veteran players, so if you have played Destiny for a long time but just never have gotten Riskrunner, you can actually go to the quest archive in the tower and you can get that introduction quest, and you can do that and you will get the quest for Riskrunner by the end of it. It's a very short introduction mission, and by the end you will get the first quest step for Riskrunner, and you just have to do that quest and then you get it. It's very easy to get, and it's just one of the most awesome weapons in the game for ad clearing, for doing massive damage, for being protected. If you're doing nightfalls, if you're doing master lost sectors, legendary lost sectors, this weapon is a must-have. It just is. Also for raids. Also, if you want to be one of the most awesome people on earth, you need to know where to go. And that place is in the Gaming Watcher Discord. That's where all of the gaming watchers are. And they're the most awesome people on earth. And we're doing so much stuff in there right now. We're having a competition this month where people get to make fun of my face in my thumbnails. They have to make captions of my face in my thumbnails, and in the end of the month I'll choose the very best of those captions and give out a prize. And the prize is secret and is special, but I promise you it's going to be awesome. And so join the goddamn Discord. The next weapon that I want to talk about is the Xenophage or Xenophage. I usually call it Xenophage, but I've heard Americans pronounce it Xenophage. So yeah, I don't know. I'm Scandinavian, so I say Xenophage. Okay, Xenophage is a machine gun and it's an absolute beast. It does so incredible DPS that it's good for everything. You can use this in any activity and it will be good. Xenophage has the intrinsic trait pyrotoxin rounds, high-powered explosive ammunition. That's actually the only thing that Xenophage has. Like, it has no other special perk that works together with pyrotoxin rounds. It has no catalyst at the moment. It just has massive impact. It does incredible damage. And so this is good for boss damage. This is good for taking down powerful enemies. This is good for taking down champions. This is good for ad clearing. This is good for anything. You know, it doesn't have that much ammo, so for ad clearing it's a little bit less efficient, but it can be used. It can be used for that, especially if you got the Warmind cell mod Rasputin's Wrath that makes it actually generate Warmind cells because it has explosive ammunition. Xenophage doesn't quite feel like a normal machine gun. It kind of feels like a very powerful scout rifle because it's kind of single shot. It has very low rounds per minute compared to other machine guns, but it just has such an impact that every shot is just almost a one-shot kill. For very high level enemies you will need maybe 5 or 6 shots. The way you get Xenophage is a little bit complicated. It has a quest and the quest is still there. You can't get this from the exotic archive and it's not a world drop. You have to do a quest. And I've made a guide on how to do that quest. I'll link that in the description so you can find it. But stick around for the other weapons. These are all important. Just know that you can go to the description afterwards and see the guide on how to get Xenophage or Xenophage. Now I can't decide how to pronounce it. Xenophage, I don't know. You decide. I'll just say both. Okay, next murder machine. The next one I want to highlight is Divinity. And Divinity is special because it has the intrinsic trait Judgment. Sustained damage with this weapon envelops the target in a field that weakens and stuns them. It's strong against overload champions, and so with this equipped you don't need an overload mod. Also, it has the perk called Penance. Targets under the effects of Judgment long enough are struck with a burst of damage. So Divinity is actually kind of a supportive weapon. When you shoot it at an enemy, you will create this cage, is usually called, a cage around the enemy that makes them like one big crit spot. So it's kind of like the Hunter Tether, that when this cage is on them, all damage done to this enemy will be precision damage. But you will not do significant damage to the enemy with the Divinity, so you're kind of just supporting the fight team. And it's really good at that. It's a really awesome weapon. It's awesome for high level activities with hard to beat champions like nightfalls, for example. And how you use this to be most efficient with the ammo is you actually don't just hold down the trigger. You need to tap it really fast, because then you will not drain your ammo as fast, but you will still get the cage for the crit damage and you will still do damage. And so, like it says on the Penance perk, that after some time that you have kept firing at them and they have been under this judgment thing, they will be struck with a burst of damage. So every now and then you will do this burst damage to the enemy, but mainly what you're doing is you're enabling the fire team to do more damage on that enemy. And also, if it's an overload champion, you can stagger the champion with this. So it's really good for nightfalls. Now, how you get Divinity is that you need to do the Garden of Salvation raid. And throughout the raid, there's a lot of puzzles that you need to do, and then you need to complete the raid. And you need to do that in one session. You can't start the raid, do some of the puzzles, get a checkpoint, and then come back the day after and do the rest of the raid. You need to do it in one session. And that's actually what makes this a little bit difficult, because the Garden of Salvation raid is a pretty difficult raid. The final boss is one of the most difficult bosses in the game. And so doing this in one sitting with all the puzzles as well can actually be difficult. It took me some time to get, at least. I don't have a guide on how to do this, how to do these puzzles in the Garden of Salvation, but there are a lot of other guides out there. I'll leave a link in the description for what I think is the best guide to get this. The next weapon of mass destruction that we have is the Lament. This is an exotic that was introduced with Beyond Light. It's an exotic sword, and it does incredible damage. It's used as a standard in the new raid, the Deepstone Crypt raid. And so if you want to do that raid, this is a must-have. It's also awesome outside of the raid. It's just not a necessity. And so you can also, if you want to use a sword, you can also use something like the Fallen Guillotine. The advantage that the Lament has is that it can pierce shields, so it can be strong against barrier champions. The intrinsic trait of this is called the Banshee's Veil, and what that means is when you press C, when you hold C, you rev the blade. So this is a chainsaw sword, and once you hold C, you will kind of turn on the chainsaw. This increases the damage, and it adds this shield piercing ability to all the attacks. Also, you gain stacks when you deal damage with the revved attacks, and additional stacks increase the damage and damage resistance of heavy attacks. So what you can do once you hold down C is you can do this combo where you do 3 light attacks and then 1 heavy, and the last heavy attack will do absolutely incredible damage. And you can take down champions with this combo, especially barrier champions. You can just take down, you don't have to worry about staggering them or doing anything. You can just go at them with the sword. Just remember to do this combo of 3 light attacks and 1 heavy attack at the end. It's exactly the same thing in the raid. It's the encounter where you need to take down all of these different Atrax clones. You have to go to one, the scanner will tell you which one you go to, and you all go to that one boss. Count down from 3, and then all of you do this combo of 3 light attacks and 1 heavy attack at the same time to do massive damage. Also, it has the perk Tireless Blade, which means that sword ammo is granted for every other powered sword kill. So actually you can get some of your ammo back, and that makes it pretty neat also for something like ad clearing. Revved Consumption is another perk, which does that damaging a combatant heals the wielder. So you can kind of see how revving this blade just makes it really awesome. It makes you resistant to damage, it gives you ammo back when you kill someone, and it also heals you when you damage combatants in this way. So you can get really real up close with something like champions and bosses and so on without being too worried about dying. So how you get the Lament is by a quest, and I made a guide for this, and I'll just leave a link in the description for that guide so you can go and get it. It's really easy to get, it's an easy quest, but it's actually also a pretty interesting quest because there's some lore in it, there's some story. I think it's one of the better exotic quests that we have gotten lately. So not only is it enjoyable to have and to use, but it's also enjoyable to get. The last, but certainly not least weapon that I want to highlight is the Eriana's Vow. This weapon was introduced with the Shadowkeep expansion, and actually the first time I tried it I was like, this sucks. It was first when I started really getting into the more difficult Nightfall categories like Master Nightfalls, and also when the Lore sectors came out, the Legend and Lore sectors, that I really started understanding the awesomeness of this gun. So, the intrinsic trait of this gun is looks can kill. This weapon fires special shield piercing ammunition, it comes with a scope, it's strong against barrier champions. And also it has this perk called Death at First Glance, bonus damage when aiming down sights on the opening shot of an attack. This bonus is preserved if the shot deals precision damage or strikes an elemental shield. So what Eriana's Vow is good for is taking down shields, taking down barrier champions, and just in general one-shotting a lot of enemies. Because as you can see, you have extra high damage on the first shot, and if you hit a precision shot with that shot, or you just strike a shield, you still have that bonus damage on the second shot. And so if you can keep hitting precision hits, you will keep up the damage bonus. And so this is brilliant for taking down servitors, for example. And when you have those barrier servitors, this is one of the best weapons for taking down those. So it's great for Master Lost Sectors, it's great for the Master Nightfalls when you have those barrier servitor champions. Anytime you have solar shields, actually, this is a great option, because when you hit that shield, you will preserve the bonus damage, and if you can just keep hitting precision kills with it, you will preserve the bonus. And even without the bonus, this does insane damage. And if you got the catalyst, you also have increased magazine size. And holstering the weapon automatically reloads it after a short period of time. So you can kind of take down the shields or stagger the champion or do whatever with it, and the second you miss a precision hit, for example, you can holster the weapon, use some other weapon, and then get back to it once it's reloaded. This exotic is so good, at least for some time. I think now most of the community has realized how good it is, but for some time this weapon was really underrated. Now, Eriana's Vow you can get from the exotic archive, and it doesn't cost spoils of conquest, so it's one of the easier weapons to farm materials for. So I would really recommend getting this, because it's so simple to get, and it has so much utility in the end game. And also the feeling of using Eriana's Vow is awesome, because you can just one-shot everything almost. The damage on this thing is incredible. Those were the absolute best exotics in my opinion of 2021. Now there's only one thing to do for you guys, and that is get it. Get it. Go get it. Rollson wants you to join and subscribe and smash like and have a great day. Okay? I want you to have a great day, so go do that. Okay? Do that. Or else, I don't know. But thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.